it's really the point that Deepak is making, is saying that the offline trade is not going to open the way it is, right? The last few weeks and hopefully in some time to come. And a lot of our conventional marketing is targeted towards the offline trade, right? The point of sale, the signage, and the show windows and display. How do you position the brand in the new product launches in now what's going to be a slightly different world, where people are going to be a little bit more wary getting to bars, getting to such places? For a lifestyle brand like yours in Alcobev, how are you going to? What are the new communication challenges? And if you can keep this brief, because we've got just about 10 minutes to go.
Yeah, great question, Lloyd. And that's something which is staring all of us in terms of how do we become relevant for consumers. So first of all, I think the theater of what you would like to do and the conduits who help you to do that. I think it's time to identify those champions and build that army. For example, if retail is not going to be largely available, and there are wall bays and shelf hires and all of that which brands have inside, how do we keep getting by way of online interventions in homes on the screens in a manner which is regulated but yet can be done? That's kind of the first challenge. So we are investing to find, there is technology, of course, but there are probably other ways to reset and repurpose a lot of what we do. Home parties, for example, will take, inspiring human connections, that's not going to change. People will want to socially connect. Physical distancing is going to continue. So those are two constraints, but a solution could be found. So of course, in India, it's not allowed, but in Singapore, for example, I know we're working very closely with large bars where fantastic cocktails are being sent home in the right packaging so that they remain fresh. So home parties or the DIY, which I think was spoken, is going to be very relevant. So how do you make yourself and arm yourself at home? It's almost a bit of a prowess which you want to demonstrate as well with your friends and close family and all of that. So the element of DIY in terms of the tools a brand can put forward for home parties or home consumption, whether it's a savoring moment or it's a let loose and lively moment, I think there are brands which can do enough number of merchandise to help that. Moving away from the in-store environment for a bit, and I think it'll come back as we go, but helping our customers to deliver that experience from a distance. For example, in Gurgaon, when it opened, we were working with customers, and in the queue, you would take the order so that the person going right up to the counter, you would have the order ready. So there are ways in which you can still be relevant as a brand in a non-onerous way in front of the consumers. So these are going to be the 2 or 3 things, but I think a lot of action will move to the home. That's my fundamental belief, especially in the category we are in.
Small, Lloyd, if it's possible, small thing that I want to just add here, something that Neeraj touched upon, and I thought I just want to reiterate something. I think this is a great time to drive advocacy. It is a great time to drive evangelism from your current customers. It's a great time for people to share and share stories about brands, how they're enjoying it. I'm for example a very old Lagavulin and Lefroy fan. Every time I sip these drinks, there is a conversation that I will always have with my friends around me. Likewise, if I'm somebody who is staying in a DLF condominium, I will talk about how when everything was shut down, there was still a virtual food festival that DLF was creating for us and ensuring that food was delivered home, or the lobbies were sanitized, or golf carts were available to ferry you from the main gate to the home. The point I'm trying to make is that this is a time where brand experiences can drive brand advocacy. A lot of people at home, a lot of people on screens, a lot of people on WhatsApp. If marketers can focus on that rather than what is not happening. I don't need a newspaper ad to drive advocacy. I don't need a shop signage right now to drive advocacy. I don't need a added dispensing counter if I'm Coke or Pepsi to drive advocacy. Sure, some of these things are obviously out of home, but the point is that we still don't need to run behind whether the signage is there or not there, or whether the ad is there or not there, or whether the point of sale is adequately decked up or not. If you can drive advocacy and champion and have your current consumers champion the brand while staying at home and while experiencing those brands, I think as marketers, That's something that we must actively try and drive and push forward, rather than be only besotted with what is the next new mass communication that I've created.
Great point, Karan. Thanks for that intervention. In fact, it brings a larger point about the whole fact that a lot of this lockdown has kind of turned a lot of the focus of media into social, which is user-generated content. What are people saying about brands? What are people saying about concerns? Like for a lot of us, the whole push into reading an e-paper happened courtesy the lockdown, right? A lot of us may not have been familiar with the e-paper or were not being comfortable, but once you start doing a thing for a certain period of time, it becomes a bit of a habit.